I've been having a really great time using the procedural images to create the little wrought iron illusion that I've created for my little cauldron here, and I'm pretty happy with it. It looks really good, but it's not the only way for us to leverage the power of this physically based rendering workflow. We can and should be using images as part of our texture setup. It's a fantastic way to very quickly get very realistic results. There are a lot of free photorealistic and physically based rendering material sets. They're called texture sets that you can find online. Textures.com has some free one. FreePBR.com has got a whole bunch of them. They're just everywhere out there on the internet. I've given you one for the branches. I've made one over in Substance Painter, which is an application that's entirely designed to paint textures on our models. We'll be learning a lot about Substance Painter in 3D Modeling 302. It's a great course that has a big component with Substance Painter. And that allows me to take the model and produce a cool little bark texture interactively using this physically based rendering workflow as the core of this entire engine. So I've given these textures to you. That you can find these textures as part of the bundle of resources that came with the Cauldron assets, so you're more than welcome to use them. There are a whole bunch of textures that we're going to be incorporating into our material setup, because each one of these textures is going to be loaded into a specific channel in our shader. There's a lot of work in front of us, so let's go ahead and get started. It's going to take a couple minutes to set this up, and it's really important that you see how this is set up. There's a shortcut in the next video that I'm going to show you, but it's critical that we understand the relationship between all of these images and what the channels that they're going to be connected to. So let's go ahead and start the process. Let's start by bringing in the image. There we go, image texture, okay, and we're going to open it up. It's in the textures, and I want you to look real carefully at the textures themselves. These are what a texture set are going to look like, and specifically look at the labels, the names of each one of these images. One has base color. And that defines that this is going to be used in the base color channel. There's one that's called height. There's another one called metallic. Normal, this is a fun one. It's purple. Don't worry, our little branch, our little log is not going to be purple. The normal map contains vector data that determines the angles the light is going to bounce off the surface. It's very cool and high-tech stuff. More on that in a minute. And of course, we also have one for our roughness. Let's start bringing these in. That's the base color. And we're going to need to bring the others in as well. And here's kind of a great little shortcut. We don't need to add 4 more. What if we just add or just duplicate this node and change the file that it's pointing to? That could make it go faster. So Shift D to duplicate a node. I have 2. I'm going to 5. Shift D again. There's 3. Here's 4. And of course, here's the 5th one. Let's go back to the top and start loading in all of the other images. We duplicated a node that already had an image associated with it. So let's change the image that's in this one to be the height. We're going to keep on working through this. This is going to be metallic. The 4th one is going to be the normal. And on my computer, the 5th one is going to be roughness. Okay, now we have 5 image nodes in here. Be mindful that the name of the image has also been adopted as the name of the node, a great way to very quickly kind of manage all of this. And now we just need to start understanding the role of each of these images in relationship to the channels in the material. Base color is super easy. We're just going to take the color out of this node and wire it into the base color values of the materials, and it already is starting to look like a branch. Now we need to make sure that we're looking at our color spaces correctly as well. The color space determines the type of information that's being sent from the image node into the material. For base color, we want color, but we don't want color information on the height node. Under the color space, we want this to be set to non-color. So it's sending values out, not RGB pixel color values, but 0 to 1 values like we were seeing before. How do I know that? How do I know that the height value wants specific 0 to 1 values? Well, this one we were working with before. This is for our displacement. We'll put that down. The metallic one, excuse me, I got a little ahead of myself. The metallic one also wants non-color. Well, how do I know that metallic wants non-color from the color space and not RGB, sRGB? Remember, the color of the input node on the material tells us which types of data values it's willing to accept. It's gray, so it wants 0 to 1 grayscale values. So let's take the color value and put it into metallic. Now we're not sending color value. That's just the output of the image. but the color space that's leaving the image is 0 to 1 grayscale values. We're going to do the same thing for the roughness. Let's grab it, bring it up so it's a little bit in, so it kind of matches the order that the channels appear inside the shader. I want to make sure the color space for roughness is also set to non-color. And let's load in, whoop, just like that. Wonderful. Okay, so the next two is where it becomes a little bit of a challenge because we need to start working with the normal map. Now, a normal map has vector information embedded into the color values, but we don't want to send the RGB color pixel information from this texture node into the shader. Look at the input. It's expecting vector information. Well, I'm only able to send color information, so we need to have some sort of converter in here. Shift-A real fast. We're going to add in under the vector nodes a normal map. Please note that there is a normal node and a normal map node. We want the normal map node. Let's go ahead and wire it in. And now, if you check this out, I'm running out of space here. I apologize. If you check this out, we're going to take the color from the image, wire it into the color input node of my normal map node. And now the vector information that goes out of the normal map node is going to get wired into the material properties. All right. And now we're starting to see the illusion of small little shadows and highlights that are coming from that vector information. Normal maps are kind of like fancy bump maps or height maps. And of course, the last one that we're going to manage is that height map. And we've been setting this up from, we're going to use the same setup that we use for our cauldron. So let's add in under the vector series of options, the displacement node. And we're going to take the color information and send it to the height values. And then we'll send that, the output of this displacement node, to the input of my material output. All right. And there it is. And there's the setup for the little branches that sit underneath my cauldron. Pretty cool. So this is a step in the right direction. Now, the things that we haven't added in here yet are all the texture coordinate nodes. That's going to come a little bit later, and I'm going to show you a shortcut. But this setup is super important to make sure that we're plugging the right image into the right slot on the material and ensuring the right data type is going from the image to the correct data container on the material itself. This is how we work with texture sets inside of this physically based rendering workflow. It's pretty easy to set up, and it gives us some really great controls and really great results very quickly.